what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nick. It has been a goddamn minute. Shit, how long has it been? I think it's been like 4 months. I think the last video I made was around June, beginning of June, whatever. Um, so fuck, there's so much shit. So I did make it through boot camp. Um, that shit was an experience I probably will never forget. I remember that shit for the rest of my life. Shout outs, anybody who watches this. Division, uh, Division 249. All my brothers and shit. So we all made it through. This shit was crazy. So pretty much, I'm gonna give y'all my experience through boot camp during this whole Corona thing. So this is all gonna be on my experiences, my opinions, and shit like that. So if you're heading out to boot camp now, or you're thinking about joining the Navy or whatever, your experience is probably gonna be way different than mine because everything at boot camp right now is since I left has really changed a lot from what I've heard from a lot of people. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. This video might be all over the place, but I'm going to try to stay on the topic of just Navy boot camp. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a boatswain's mate. I made it through boot camp. Just recently graduated high school, and I'm currently in a 2-week quarantine in Virginia. My command is the USS Gerald R. Ford, the carrier. And I don't report there until I think the end of this month I do because we're on a 2-week quarantine, so the 25th, 26th, something like that. But anyways, that's just a little backstory for those of y'all who don't know me. Um, but first things first, when I initially got to the Great Wolf Lodge, I think it was on June 3rd, June 4th. I was there for 2 weeks, and that shit straight up sucked. I'm gonna just be honest with y'all. That shit sucked. I mean, it was. I mean, I shouldn't say it sucked. It was just you were with. I mean, two. So I had two roommates. There were some people that had three, so four total in a room. You do get your own bed or whatever, but it was just weird because I didn't really know them at all. But that's just kind of how the Navy is. You meet like. That's the one thing that I will say is that even in boot camp, you will meet all walks of life from everywhere. Like you'll see people that just are just raised differently than what you were. You know what I mean? And that's one of the coolest things so far about it is that you meet so many different people. But anyways, I was at the Great Wolf Lodge for 2 weeks. Um, Pretty much, we got bag nasties. We did occasion. We would get a hot meal for breakfast and a hot meal for dinner, and then like a sandwich for lunch and shit. Um, what else? That shit, it just kind of was what it was. I mean, take advantage of that time that you have. You'll have 2 weeks to study your chain of command, general orders, and all that shit. Um, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if they're still having people at the Great Wolf Lodge. I'm pretty sure they are. So if you're going there, if not there, then you'll go to an army base in Wisconsin, which I know nothing about. I was at the Great Wolf Lodge. But just take advantage of that time. Study. I should have studied more on my chain of command. Study your recruit training guide. Study all the collar devices, the patches, all that shit. Know that shit because you got 2 weeks. You're not doing shit, and watching TV all day does get boring. Make sure you work out. Do push-ups and sit-ups. That's another thing I'll get into is like the PFA shit. If I have enough time for this video, like this will probably be broken up into 2 or 3 videos probably because there's so much shit, like so much information. So yeah, after you leave there, you go to RTC, which is Recruit Training Command. I got there, and then you go through what is called P days. Now our P days was a lot different than what I think a normal P days is when it's like not Corona, because we didn't get our uniforms until like our last day of P days, and our night of arrival wasn't like a typical night of arrival because we didn't get our like we got our Diddy shit like while we were in the Great Wolf Lodge. Like we got our sea bag, we got our PT gear. The only thing we didn't get was our Type 3s. We got all that other shit. We got like our hygiene items and all that shit. So our night of arrival was just them processing us for all like the medical stuff, like your weight, height, all that shit. And P-Days straight up sucks. P-Days is probably the worst fucking week of boot camp, to be honest with you. Just because it's long days, you get up at 4 a.m., you're fucking sitting in Fort IG, you're just standing there pretty much all day long as they check your eyes, hearing, your blood, all that shit. But that's probably one of the hardest weeks was P-Days. One of the other biggest things I think when you get to RTC is that there's just some people that just don't listen, bro. They just don't listen. If you just do what you're told and you listen, then trust me, boot camp will be easy for you. Those two things right there, just do what you're told and listen. Because there was so many people I saw, I mean, not really so much in my division, because we had a pretty good division, but we had a couple idiots, as like every division does, that just don't listen and think that they're just going to do whatever they want, and that shit doesn't work out. Because once you make it through P-Days, your RDCs can beat you whenever they want. So even if you fuck up in P-Days, I mean, unless they hold that against you after you finish P-Days and they say, hey, you did this in P-Days, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. And like beatings just means you get like an intensive workout, either individually or as a whole division. But once you make it through P-Days, it's really not that bad. My brother went to boot camp around the same time I did, and he got beat 3 times a day. I got beat probably 3 or 4 times throughout the entirety of boot camp. So it really all depends on who your RDCs are. We had like a chill chief who straight up told us that he wasn't going to beat us. Like he said that in P-Days. He's like, I don't want to beat you guys. I want to change the way I do things. Because he said he would beat everybody 3 or 4 times a day for fucking up. Now, were there moments when we fucked up really bad and we got beat? Yeah, but that's just part of the fucking boot camp, bro. It's a phase of your career you never go through again. It's like a test, you know what I mean? So once you make it through 3 P-Days, you will then go to your actual ship. Other thing. When you're in P-Days, probably the best food you'll have in boot camp is at the Pearl. I do have to say that. Even though I was at ship 12 and ship 10, the Pearl has the best fucking food out of all boot camp. You'll have that shit your first week there when you're in P-Days, and then when you're done, you leave that ship, and then you go to your actual ship that you'll be in for the rest of boot camp. So after P-Days, you spend I'll actually get to that in a minute, but you pretty much ruck all your shit, your sea bag, everything, garment bag, all that shit. You go with your division all the fucking way to your ship. I was in 2 different ships, okay? I was in ship 12, which is the USS Triton. That fucking ship is the best ship in boot camp. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Their chow hall always had full variety. Always had full variety. It was like the show ship was always having, like the CO, the XO, all the higher up motherfuckers always used to come through there. And then I went to ship 10. Ship 10 was like, it was like an old ship. I didn't really like ship 10 because there was one day when they like ran out of food in the chow hall. We had to wait and shit. So pretty much when you get through P-Days, that's when the experience of boot camp starts. Now, for us, my division, I thought boot camp was pretty fucking easy. Now, if you fucked up, then yeah, you got yelled at, but you didn't really get beat. We only got beat 4 times when we fucked up really bad. But just the biggest thing is just attention to detail is another thing I didn't mention. Attention to detail will get you a long way. So when you're folding shit, when you're making your rack, when you're doing your 45s, when you're putting your uniform on, attention to detail. That is one of the biggest things that they will pound into your head is attention to detail, follow instruction, listen, and just do what you're fucking told. Those things right there, if you do those things, then boot camp is going to be easy for you. If you don't do that shit, then it's going to be a long fucking day for you. Trying to think. When we first started, after P-Days, we got our Type 3s, which is the camo uniforms, and we wore them shits every single fucking day. I did get my, my dress whites and my dress blues. What else? But we didn't have inspections on those. We only had inspections on our Type 3s. That's the other thing that y'all will have to learn how to do is inspections. There's personal inspections, and then there's DMIs, which is, I think it stands for duty military inspection, something like that. where they'll either pop your rack and check um, how you stow everything. There's a certain way you got to store everything in your rack. But we didn't even do the real DMIs because usually they take everything, they unfold it to make sure it's folded right. They didn't even do that shit. They just looked at it visually to make sure it was right because of COVID. They weren't able to take everything apart. The only time they did that was when they did, fuck, that last inspection at the end of boot camp. I think it was a static inspection where FQA comes in and they fucking check everything. What else? Trying to think. So when y'all do inspections, make sure your shit is on point. Because if your shit is not on point, you will get fucked up. We had three guys in my division that failed their DMI, or no, failed their PI, excuse me, and they were on the verge of getting set back because they didn't know what a fucking lieutenant wore for like a collar device, or their boots weren't shined, they had gear drift on their fucking uniform. So make sure your shit is on point. If your shit is on point, and like say you fuck up the question, at least it's only one hit. If you get 3 hits, you fail. So that's how I always looked at it, because I wasn't always the best at remembering all that shit. But I always made sure my uniform was on point. If your uniform is on point and you have military bearing, then you will be fine. Even if you fuck up on the question, it's one hit. And then if you don't get hits anywhere else, then you're good. What else? So, trying to think of what else. I'll probably have to save it for another video. My phone's about to die. But yeah, just attention to detail and just follow instruction and listen. Those are the biggest things that I can say. Obviously, you'll be wearing your face mask 24/7. That's like the fucking norm now. But that's all I really got. I'm gonna make a part 2 of this. I just gotta charge my phone and shit. But I'll talk to y'all soon. I made it through, fucking happy. About to start my, the real Navy. And, shout out to Division 249. Alright, peace.